Hi guys, welcome back to Jump School. I'm your host Ihsaan, the StyleJumper. Today we're going to be speaking with Juan Alvarado as he gives us some great information on the Clifton StrengthsFinders. Stay tuned, listen, learn, and it's really interesting to hear how your personality can impact so many aspects of your life, including style. We'll see you after the episode.
So who I am, again, my name is Juan Alvarado. I am the creator of my company, Raise the Bar, and what I do is I will speak to individuals or groups, specifically leadership professionals, but I talk to people who aren't at that higher level, but it could be students, parents, teachers, whatever it is, and getting them to get things to line up, get their life to line up. I can go into my story for days or hours or days, but what I do is we come together, we start to align your mindset, or start to switch your mindset to get your goals turned in, kind of changing from whatever your mindset is to a growth mindset, a goal mindset, and then to a growth mindset. And just kind of start to align things, it's kind of like puzzle pieces, right? It's starting to get things to shift together and fit together to see where everything goes. But one of the things that I do is, the StrengthsFinders, the Clifton StrengthsFinders, and that is, to me, the cherry on top that brings everything together, right? It's kind of like you having, a piece of like a fillet and some vegetables and a plate, right? You got these three things, but when you put it together and you're able to present it in such a way with the garnishes and stuff, and then you present it, it becomes a stronger piece, a stronger plate. And so in everything that I do, it's getting all your pieces, or your family's pieces, or your kids' pieces, or your pieces, or your marriage pieces, and putting them in a plate to present itself with such power and such a presence. And I know ever since my wife and I took our strengths, it took our marriage to the next level. My kids, there's a kids version, took their learning to the next level. Their teachers, I shared it with their teachers and brought them their understanding to my kids as students to the next level. And so Raise the Bar is like, how do I look up and how do I get up to that next level? And how do I make this a continuous process?
That's amazing. So I want to go back a little bit. Tell me some of the things that you've learned as far as a spouse and a father, how the StrengthsFinders, would you call it a platform, or the assessment itself actually? How did that impact your marriage?
Yeah, so the StrengthsFinders it's an assessment. It is, people call it a personality assessment. To us, the people who are the certified coaches, we tell people that it is a strength. It's a strength-based platform, and it shows your DNA. And it's cool because how it shows like the DNA cells, right? This is your DNA. This is who you are. And there's times where my wife sees me as like, man, your mind is going, like, I need you here. Or you're always at work. Why are you always working? Like some people, call it that can't put their finger on it, being a workaholic. But once she was able to see my strength, she goes, oh, now I get it. Some of her times, and this can be tough in a marriage, and you don't need to be, a rocket scientist to figure this out. But my staff, in another work place that I'm in, I would say my staff is about 90% female, and I'm close with my staff. I have to make phone calls to my staff, text with my staff, have lunch or dinner meetings with my staff. So what would that look like to my wife?
Yeah.
Meet with females one-on-one, right? Or a group, and me being the only male. And we are close. But when she sees my strength, and one of the strengths that I have is responsibility, and one of the other strengths is relator. Responsibility says, I put all the weight of my job and my function on my back. You will not carry the load. Let me carry it, right? The other part, relator, is I have deep relationships with people who I allow in my inner circle. And so deep relationships is like, hey, I need to give somebody, $100. She might be like, $100? Why? And I'm like, they need it because of whatever. She's like, whoa, let's talk about it. And so she understands the severity of the relationships, where it's not like, do you like this person? Like, well, like, hold up, let's take a step back. But she's starting to see how close I am with my staff. It's a passion to help people. And when we start to relive our stories and we talk about it, she sees that I went from working with the military for years and the police department for years and being set financially and set for the future to work for a nonprofit and start my own business. Like, we went from this amount of money to this amount of money, this much security down to this much security. And it's because I love working for people. Like, I feel that I've been called to be a servant, and my strengths show that I am in this servanthood. And so it's like, it clicked for her. And then for me, understanding her, I understand, like, it's not just like motherly love. It's not motherly instinct. This is who she is. This is the DNA for her. So she's the same thing as far as a servant, but in a different way. It just got us to communicate better. So instead of saying, oh, that's just how I am, or that's just how she is or how he is, it is this, or my spouse, my husband, my wife, this is their strength. This is what they do. This is them. And it's not meant as a barrier label. Like, oh, here he goes talking to everybody again. Like, my dad has this strength called WOO, WOO. It stands for winning others over. And they are the social butterfly. They'll talk to people on anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
Open your window, elevator talk. And with me, I don't have that. WOO is like my 30 something, because there's 34 traits and it's like 30th or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you and I are on the elevator, I'm not talking to you. If I know you, oh, we're talking the whole way. And so my mom is like, your dad is such a flirt. But when he did his stuff, it's like, no, he talks to everybody.
Yeah, I'm like that.
You see it as he's only talking to females, but when you really look at it, he's talking to everybody.
It's everybody.
Kids, older people, young, old, male, female. He'll talk to the dog if he can. But he talks to everyone. But once my mom saw that through the lens of his strengths, of he wins people over with his words, and so his strength is to speak. She's like, I get it.
Wow. Now, two questions. That has to be really impactful, Juan, because I'm thinking, how long have you known your wife, right? And trying to figure these things out, and just navigating through marriage and children, and not going through StrengthsFinders until now, as of recent, right?
Yeah.
And then to go a step further, to hear you speak about your parents, and for them to make that connection, and for you to be able to position, this information to your father, you understand who he is, and then be able to help your mom with that, to connect those dots for him and their relationship. That's just so impactful, man. It's just amazing how we spend so much time navigating relationships, right? And I think that's one of the challenges with marriages, right? We haven't had these deep conversations. We went through a period of honeymoon, right? And we're dating. Right. And then once you get married, everything gets real, because you can't just get pissed off and like, I'm out. I'm going, you know what I mean? I'm going to my mom's, or I'm going to my place. Whereas you got to sit in that. I mean, obviously there's some guys and gals who say, you know what? I'm going to go to my girlfriend's house, and they don't really deal with it. They just bounce out. But if you're mature, or at least you understand that there's such a deeper level of relationship, once you decide to get married, and it's not temporary, that you have to fester and learn and grow and nurture these type of scenarios. And it's sort of like, I like to think about it as someone who's sober, right? So if you're a sober person and your best friend, let's say, drinks, well, when your friend that's a drinker, when they're having those issues or challenges, they're actually going to hit the bottle. They're going to check out, right? And numb that rawness that you're dealing with. But if you're sober, realistically, you have to deal with it. there's avoidance and things of those natures in your head. But if you look at it just straight from apples to apples, you have to sit in that reality and deal with it, because you're not using anything to numb it. And now I'm just going to say, if there's no other vices that you're using, let's just say you're not dealing with any other vices, and you really focus on, you know, dealing with things as they are, and not avoiding it, or what's the word? Sort of like pacifying it with that type of external element to help you deal with things. So, man, you know, having this type of assessment for families is huge. But then you were speaking about work, right? And if you can, so with your team, so did everybody in your team, did you have your team do it?
Yeah, so I have 26 people that I directly oversee, and about 170 that I see, that I kind of still have under my umbrella. And out of those 26 site leads or leads that I have, all 26 have taken them. And now, and so there's two parts of the assessment. There's a top 5, which just gives you the first 5, and that's it. And that's a good starting point. But a lot of people have confusion, or they want more, because there's 34 strengths total. On the top 5, you just get to 5. So people start to wonder, well, what's number 6 and what's number 7? And I know that, like with me, I know that I'm competitive. So I wanted to know competition is one of them. Where's competition? Because it's not in my 5. It's got to be number 6. And then lo and behold, I find out that it's 15, like number 15 or 16. And so I'm like, I know that I'm competitive. And it's crazy that certain things add up, create something different.
It's like a recipe, right?
Right. You know, you can use sugar to, you know, sweeten your coffee, but you can also, you know, or make a cake taste better, or cookies taste better, but you put sugar on a piece of, you know, chicken or whatever, then you're like, whoa, what did we just do here, right? So it can totally screw something up. And so once they know the full 34, we can get the full gamut of things. It's just taking you from the 100-foot level and seeing, you know, it's like going, again, it's like having the, you know, a 3rd or 4th floor view from your hotel room, looking at the pool and the ocean. But if I take you, you know, the full 34 is like taking you to the mountains, or, you know, the makeout point, right? And you can see all the city lights, and you can see all the city. It just takes you to a higher view. And so we've had all of our staff take it, and I'm currently coaching all of the staff through that. And it's really eye-opening. Yesterday, one of the staff started to get emotional, because we go through your story of like who you are, and you start to see that even when you're a kid, some of these things that you're going through, it's one of your strengths. You can actually see your strengths starting to form as a kid, because people don't realize that, you know, the things that you go through as a kid forms you who you are as an adult. And some people will say, well, that's just the way I am, right? It's like having a car. If the car makes noise, click, 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 oh, that my car just makes weird noises. No, there's something the matter. We can actually focus on those things and make your car run smooth. So like with my mom, she has a lot of hurt. She has a lot of verbal, physical, and sexual abuse in her childhood. And in the marriage now with my dad, she fights for her opinion. And we just think that she's, you know, stubborn and loud and always yelling and stuff. But it's her inner child saying, listen to me. Like, I've been shut down for years. Now I'm old enough. Dang it, I have a voice. And those that don't know, it's like, dude, she's so loud and obnoxious. She's always arguing. And it's like, no, she has one of her strengths is command. And she couldn't have command as a kid because she'd get smacked if she spoke up. But now as you know, as a wife, she says, hey, I don't want to do this because it does lead to a memory from my past. And I don't want to go to the city, let's say, or whatever. But it is one of those things where it's definitely eye-opening. You asked the question about, you know, with marriage and my mom and my dad and my wife and I, and my wife and I have been together for 18 years, and next month, so in May on the 25th, we'll hit our 15th wedding anniversary. So it's crazy. I tell my wife, it doesn't even seem like 15 years. I'm like, it seems like 50. And she's like, hey, I'm like, no, it seems really quick. Like, it doesn't seem like it's 15 years. It seems a lot less. But I didn't take the StrengthsFinders until year 13, and I didn't do anything with it.
Okay.
I didn't do anything with it. It's almost like kind of use your, the realm that you're in with fashion. It's like buying that suit, and you're like, dang, look at this suit. I look good in this suit, and then it just stays up in the closet. Like I didn't do anything with it. But once I did it, and I started to break everything down and learn about it, it's like sporting that suit pretty much every day. But what I will say is, once you're able to establish that suit, like everyone wears a suit, but when you wear that power tie with it, or it just connects everything. To me, this is what strengths is. You can strut a suit all day long, but until you put that, like, that there's colors that you can wear that soften up looks, but then there's that one thing that just boom. Like, if I was to tell you, right? If I was to tell you, does this look good or does this look good? And you're like, nah, man, this one. Yeah. This is your power type. We see it in politics all the time with, whoever's president or whoever's at the podium, they only wear certain colors, and then they get, scrutinized from news outlets that say, why were they wearing a green tie? How come it wasn't this, a red tie? And it like, colors signify things. The StrengthsFinders thing signifies, when you take it, I want to take myself a little bit more seriously. I want to take my relationship a little bit more seriously. Let's bring power to each other.
That's really interesting because, when you break it down as far as like, we'll get to, what I do as far as style, if it doesn't matter what suit you're wearing, if it doesn't fit you well, right? If it's not the right color, if it's not the right season,
right? And
if you're not in the right environment, then it's all for naught. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it works against you. And it's so funny. I'm working on an online course, and I just finished the course. What's today? The day before yesterday, about the psychology of color. So it's just really interesting you talked about that, because every color has a representation. It has a communication, and it's nonverbal communication, and that's what we're doing on a day-to-day basis when we put on our clothes. We are nonverbal communicators first, because someone's going to see you, a mile away, right? If you got on that hot pink suit, you know what I mean? You got on that zoot suit, you know what I'm saying? And you're in trouble, but you can also have those same eyes attracted to you if you have on a well-fitted suit, the color's right, your hair is groomed, and you smell good. They're going to see you, then they smell you. You know what I mean? So it's really important that we do that when it comes to really shifting our psychology when it comes to color and style. So I love the fact that with StrengthsFinders, you mentioned, both of us are parents, and you also said this year is your 15th year of being married. In May, your anniversary, my 15th year anniversary is going to be, it's funny, August 25th.
Oh, there you go.
Year. And you've known your wife for 18 years. This year would be 19 years. For me and my wife. This is 2020, so 19 years of us knowing each other. So it's just really interesting, that parallel. And you got 2 kids, and I got 2 kids with my wife. And how is this? You were starting to talk a little bit about how the StrengthsFinders has impacted your boys.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so with the student version or the kid version, there's 10 strengths because they're still forming it. It's for ages 10 to 16, 17 years old. After 17, they can take the adult version. Questions are really simple, like, would you rather go somewhere for your birthday or get a gift for your birthday? When you go to, play, do you go with just your friends, or do you invite somebody to play? Or when somebody asks if they can play with you, do you say yes or do you say no? Like real simple questions. Well, really quick. My boys, so there's 10 strengths instead of 34. And as a coach, I can see like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the adult strengths in each one, because you're still forming who they are, which, not to get totally off subject, but as a parent, you need to understand that you are forming your kids to be however they're going to grow up. It's like every aspect of what we do with our kids, every interaction, every exchange is a way that they're getting molded to who they are. So there's a DNA, and that DNA starts to get formed. Do we do this or do we do that? And so I always tell parents, because I do a thing with parents too, is as parents and even as kids, that parenting or that relationship between parents and their kids has to be a dialogue. It's not a monologue. As a parent, we think that it's my way or the highway, and this is how it is. Sure. The hierarchy.
Yeah. No. Yes. Culturally, yes. That's how we grew up.
Right.
Set up.
Right. Yeah. So I try to tell people it's a dialogue, not a monologue. And the reason why I say that is because we're trying to have these experiences with our kids to pull out who they're becoming, who they're supposed to be. So my son Levi has, so out of the 10, you get 3 strengths. So out of the 10, you find your kid's 3, and he has competitive. He has one that's called, he's got organization, and I'm trying to think of the next one. But my other son, Lincoln, he has competition also. And the thing, the thing with him is Levi, you can see his competition in games, right? And he'll play basketball. I finished my food first. I'm faster than you on my bike. That's his competition.
Yeah.
With Lincoln, he competes for your attention. And so it's different. You can beat me, but hey, Dad, did you see this? Did you see that I improved? Like he's wanting that attention, so he competes for attention. He doesn't have to be first or second. So then we start to realize that if he's not getting attention, he needs attention. So whether it's positive or negative, he's going to get attention. So then the teacher starts, when I showed his teacher in school, she was like, this is why she goes, do you know your son hums? She goes, when I'm in close proximity or he knows that I'm listening, he'll start to hum. And so she goes, after a while, she says, I started to pay him just a little bit more attention, just checking in. Everybody, we're good. Sam, you're good. Derek, you're good. Lincoln, you're good. And he's like, yep. And as long as he gets the attention, she goes, his humming stops. She goes, thank you so much for sharing this with me, because now I understand if I'm not giving it, he's going to get it one way or another. And before, he was getting in trouble. The other thing that Lincoln has is he has, is it Discover? I'm trying to remember because it's different than the adult version. But he likes to tinker with things. He has he was working at my desk, and I have pliers and an Allen wrench, and he'll take stuff apart, and he always leaves a mess. And so as a father, or as my wife as the mother, is like, Lincoln, your room's a mess. We see a messy room. Yeah. After he took the assessment, it says that he enjoys figuring out how things work. So even at school and at home, he would ask why. Just do it. Don't worry about it. But why? And we're like, don't talk back. He wants to dissect, like, how does this work and why?
And he's trying to understand. Like, he's processing that information. Right. Okay. And me as a parent, I'm thinking about, how I'm communicating with my kids, and also how they functionally see things out, and one of the things that you were speaking about when your boys is, needing that, that acknowledgement, really, that, hey, I'm here. But I wonder, and I'll speak for myself, it's something I still struggle with, is constantly seeking approval. You know what I mean? And I was curious when you said that, like, wow, is this just naturally in me, or that I convinced myself, hey, man, you as a kid from 8 to 18, you always had a coach, right? And the coach, they'll look in and they'll see what you're doing and they'll correct you. And so that has always been a huge component of my life. And I wonder, as an adult, if that's become a handicap for me, because, there are times where I'm checking and I'll create something and, hey, I need to send it to a couple of people. Hey, what do you think? instead of saying, hey, I think it's great. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks, and I'm putting it out to the world. I mean, sometimes I do that because for the sake of time, but I think my default setting is I want to get that check of approval.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So do you think that it's who we are, or that we haven't identified that that's our personality trait?
Yeah, so I think, so there's a strength, and here's the thing, it's, people sometimes think of certain things as a weakness, but in StrengthsFinders, we find that whatever your strength is, we're going to make it stronger. And there's statistics that show, like, there's a lot of people out there that say, work on your weakness. Well, you don't necessarily work on your weakness, because the things that you're good at will start to fall. So we want, like, the way we explain it is, picture a star, right? You have a star, and if I accentuate the points and I outline that star, my strengths got stronger. And if I keep on outlining that star and keep on outlining that star, the strengths get stronger and stronger, that tip point. But if you look at the bottom part of the star, right, that part is like your weakness. If you outline that star, that weakness actually starts to grow little by little, because you start to look at your blind spots, if you will. But there's a strength called significance. And what you're explaining to me sounds like the strength called significance. And it says, I'm interested in being seen significant, and that I can accomplish something significant. What I love is associating with successful people. What I hate is being invisible or ignored by others. But the barrier level, or what we call
hold up, man. You don't talk about me in my face like that, man.
So the barrier level, or what we call the basement or the blind spot, says that they're an attention hound or a showboat. Either I'm going to show off, or I'm going to try to find that attention, like, look at me, or I need, I'm being needy. But that's if I'm aware of that I don't want people to think I'm a showboat, or I don't want people to think that I'm an attention hound. What I do is I'm aware of that, and now I start to communicate. Like, if I love associating with successful people, and what I would be doing is I'm motivated and influenced by the perception of others. If that's the way that I am in this, if I do have the strength of significance, I start to carry myself a little bit higher with more successful people, and I start to go around those people who can feed into me like a mentor. So if I need significance, I don't go to people that I'm better than and say, hey, look at me. I start hanging out with more successful people.
Exactly.
So you can start to see the growth and move me up, because those successful people will give you the attention or the significance that you need. It's you, because what you're longing for is not, wow, Ihsaan, you're amazing, I want to be like you. It's the mentor saying, dang, Ihsaan, you know how much we've grown together? Do you know where you've been, where you were, where you've been? And you're looking to be pulled up, not looked up to in that sense.
It's that growth. It's almost like that growth potential. I'm always measuring that growth potential. Right. And one of the things I always say is, I'm grateful but never satisfied. I'm never satisfied, because I always feel like I can do more. I can sense it, that there's greater in me, and we're not going to get spiritual, but greater is He that's the verse, but He is in the world. But it's just one of those things where I'm constantly looking at things, looking at the individuals that I've met in my life, and say, wow, and me and my mom had this conversation, like, one of the people that you've met in your life, based on where we grew up in this small town in South Carolina, that's just an amazing feat, if you will, just to meet that one person. And you have tons of people that you've met in your life that you can say, I know that person. Not just like you took a picture with them, you on Facebook, but that person, through and through, and just really spent time with those individuals. So it's just really interesting hearing this. And it's one of the things that, I plan to do. There's a couple other assessments out there that we've talked about in the past. But this is something that really speaks to me. And as I continue to improve although I talk a lot about style, it's about style, confidence, and etiquette. And so those three together equals, your ability to have a higher interpretation of yourself, and it's constantly about improving and self-development. So I feel like my channel and what I do, I guise it with style, but the core of it is self-development and improvement in understanding how you can evolve as a human being. And we always can get a little bit better. You know, there's art and science. You know, what I love to do with the channel is I think of it like, it's funny, you know, there's some people that are very specific in what they talk about. You know, they're very tactile. They're like a professor. And then you have some people who are just, you know, they're really loud. They have a lot of fun. They don't really give you a lot of information, just touch a couple of things, but it's more about entertaining. But the way I look at things, I feel as though it's more like poetry and alchemy. You know what I mean? That's how I interpret clothing, and also interpret, you know, how that impact can improve you as an individual. But let us know a little bit about, you know, what are some things you do with Raise the Bar? What are some, and also, you know, where people can find you?
Yeah. So, well, right now with the quarantine, I've been, you know, in the lab, kind of in here recording things, and I recorded a couple videos for, you know, those high school seniors that got their, you know, the year kind of taken away from them. So I'm going to release that pretty soon. I also did one for seniors who are in sports, when their season got taken away. You know, for teachers and for students, and but yeah, what I like to do, where my realm is leadership professionals. So people who are managers, any type of leader, but if that doesn't fit you, like, we're leaders no matter what. Like, I'm the leader of my finance, I'm the leader of my home, I'm the leader of myself, I'm the leader of my health, the leader of my fitness. So I believe we're all leaders, and so how do we take that to the next level? But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Raise the Bar CEO, and I post a lot on there. Stories, I'll go live. WeRaiseTheBar.com is the website. And yeah, I do a lot with students, a lot with teachers specifically, because that seems who's been buying in more than most. And so I'll go to schools and talk to superintendents. I talk to teachers, principals, LDs, and get their team. We'll do strengths as a team and move them to the next level. I've done with students, and now I'm starting to dabble with parents and parenting. And so StrengthsFinders is really for everyone. Leadership, personal development, professional development, and leadership is for everyone. So I don't care who you are, where you're from. This is the way to go. Personal development and getting better for yourself is great. I tell my staff and others, like, I need a better me so we can have a better we, right? We need to be able to, like, because if we're part of the team, you know, we again, we're going to either lift people up. We're either going to get better or we're going to get bitter, right? We need to be able to get better. And so that's what I'm here for. This is what Raise the Bar is. And
Juan, you know, I was thinking, I had a visual there when you talked about the me and we is, you know, it's like, you know, the M is a upside down W, right?
Yep.
So when you have that M, things slide off you, right? And it's about you. But when you have that W, you know, you can fill up. You can fill,
good.
You know what I mean? You can fill yourself up, and you can also fill others. And so you use that, and you can take that one, bro.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I just really thought about that. So Raise the Bar. So your social channel, there's a little bit of change in the spelling. So let everybody know exactly how to spell it.
Yeah. So it's Raise the Bar with a Z. So RAIZE, and then the bar, THEBAR, and then CEO. That's the Instagram. And then same thing for We Raise the Bar. Same thing. .com. It's the Z and not the S. You know, copyright and stuff. So. That's the way we had to go with it. But yeah, it's Raise the Bar is not just you know, moving to the next level professionally, but, you know, like I said, it's personally. And I'll say this real quick. Coming back from overseas, being deployed, I suffer from PTSD, and so it took me 10 years to find help. And finally I got the help, but I hit rock bottom. And when I was hit rock bottom, I was able to get things like I was talking about align. And one of the things that we do in the personal and like the life coaching portion of Raise the Bar is we start to get your goals, your daily schedule, and your priorities to line up. And that was the epiphany for me that why am I not moving? And it was because things weren't lined up. I wanted to go down this road, but the rest of the road was over here, and the rest of that road was over here. And so I can only get so far. But once I lined all those roads up, it was smooth sailing to some degree, right? I was like, okay, what's next? And then we found StrengthsFinders, and then we started to move on from there. But I really encourage people that in this time of maybe feeling lost, find yourself. In a time of uncertainty, start to find confidence. Like, this is what we're here for as a community is people don't know what to think, but it's not about what to think. It's about how to think. If you can change the way you think, you can change your attitude, you can change your belief, you change your expectations, and you can change your performance, and you can change your life. And it all goes back to the way you think. And so it's a mindset.
It's a mindset. Yeah. I love that, man. First of all, thank you for serving, veterans. I'm a veteran myself. It's amazing that we have so many of us out here who are seeking help and don't know it, or need help and don't know it. Right? We're trying to find a path. So I'm glad you're able to find StrengthsFinders. And then I was also thinking, I can't understand for the life of me why this type of training isn't done when you get hired, but also in school. Like, our kids are elementary, middle school. It should be a class by 5th grade. You should have that probably at the latest. To your point, you said you started at 10 or 11, 10 years old.
Yep.
My youngest is 11. So 5th grade, 5th grade, it's the perfect time, because now they form that opinion. They have some insight as to who they are a little bit. They've seen enough to figure things out. But wow, how impactful would it be if we had that type of test, an assessment, to provide for our students, to help the teachers teach and to understand their students better, and also to then share that with the parent. Because I think a lot of times as kids, a lot of our flame, if you will, gets stomped out when we're kids. You were talking about that a little bit earlier about how we parent. And that's something that I'm working on as well as a parent. Like, how do I magnify my kids in a way that helps them to nurture the things that they're innately great at, those strengths? Me and my son was having a conversation, and I told him, like, dude, I'm so mad at myself in my mid-40s that I stopped drawing. I stopped drawing at 13, his age. I was in middle school, and I saw this guy. I'll give you my age. I saw this guy, and he had drawn graffiti on some jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I was blown away. And Juan, I promise you, that day when I saw his work, I said, I'm never drawing again. I was like, I'll never be as good as him, and I'm not doing it anymore. And lo and behold, that guy, he's one of my best friends.
No way.
Yeah, we're best friends. I mean, since middle school.
Wow.
And it's just really interesting that I wish that I would have continued, but I also wish that there was some conversation about the art. Like, hey, you should continue doing this. I see that you enjoy it. Let's nurture that. Let's continue to not stomp out that fire, or not notice that fire, or that, but put more wood on it. What I mean? Let's get this thing blown up, because who knows, where you could be, years down the line. Even if you're doing it as a hobby, your skill level will be so much higher. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate your time. I know, you have a busy day ahead of you. You're joining us from the West Coast. And I appreciate that. Is there any last words you'd like to say to everyone here at Jump School with regards to StrengthsFinders and Raise the Bar?
Yeah, I start to think at times, like you look at people who were successful, right? You look at the Amazons and all those people who have built something, and they started to build it in their 20s or 30s, right? And it's like, imagine if they were able to zero in on that at a younger age. Like I tell my boys all the time, if I know what I know now, back then, your age, you would be like Bill Gates, who, like, Amazon, who, like, I didn't get into this until later on in life, and I didn't have anybody mentoring me until I was late in high school. Imagine if we had kids 10, 11 years old with mentors. Like my son is reading a John Wooden book, right?
Oh, wow.
And he loves basketball, right? And he's like, I don't like to read, I don't like to read. And I was like, here, check this dude out. So I had to think, let me use the tools of today. And so I said, watch this video on YouTube, right? Because I can't get him. So I use YouTube to help him read. So I showed him who John Wooden is. He's like, dang, that guy knew his stuff. And I go, yeah. So forget about Phil Jackson. Like, this guy probably created Phil Jackson.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And started all that other stuff. But I said, this is what we have to do. So I had to use the technology now to get him to go. And now he's reading this book on John Wooden and learning these life lessons that compare basketball and leadership, or fashion and personal growth. And so,
great.
I really think that we have the tools out there to zero in on it. And the best time is now. Like, if you're watching this in your, you're in your 40s or 50s or 30s or 20s, like, it's not too late. It's never too late. So if you can help your kids pull the influence that's in them out, that stuff out, because if you don't get them to a spot where they're learning the inside out, the outside's going to influence their inside. And so we have the tools and the capabilities to do that stuff now. So again, I didn't tell my kid shove books down his throat and say read. I had to use the tools that he can use now, that he's familiar with. Get familiar with yourself. Get familiar with StrengthsFinders. I would love to follow somebody's journey through this. I follow the people that follow me on Instagram, and I am, like I said, I'm a servant. I'm here to help people grow and get better. Continue to raise that bar, put that bar over your head to be able to lift and pull yourself up to the next level. Utilize the things that you have, and I'm here for people to use StrengthsFinders for their personal and professional growth.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for your time today. Here at Jump School, we're all about improving ourselves, taking those jumps, jumping into a new you, jumping, into a new style, changing your mind and shifting those things, and learning from individuals like you who have jumped into self-development and improving yourself. So Juan, thank you so much for your time. Guys, follow at Raise the Bar with a Z, Raise the Bar CEO.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Juan regarding the Clifton StrengthsFinders. We'll see you next time on Jump School. If you want to see what I'm wearing on a day-to-day basis, check out my Instagram. There you'll find a ton of looks that maybe you can choose from, or at least get some inspiration. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And if you have any questions or suggestions, leave it in the comments below. We'll see you next time.